A lot of writing about human nature defends one of two extremes. Basically, we are either a cooperative, altruistic species, or we are a competitive and selfish one. Both, however, are wrong. Humans have the capacity to help and hurt each other.
Happy Wednesday, friends. I'm Michael Kovnat. This is the Next Big Idea Daily, quick masterclasses from the best new books written and read by the authors themselves. Don't forget to hit follow in your podcast app and sign up for our free newsletter using the link in the episode notes. So today, let's talk about human nature. Just what is it? Are humans fundamentally selfish or basically good? It's a question we've been asking since, forever. But what if the answer is both? In his new book, Invisible Rivals: How We Evolved to Compete in a Cooperative World, Jonathan Goodman argues that the real story of human nature isn't about picking sides, it's about understanding how our ancient instincts for cooperation and competition are still playing out today. From political deception to crumbling public trust, he says we're still being shaped by the same forces that governed our hunter-gatherer ancestors. Jonathan is a social scientist at the University of Cambridge and the Wellcome Sanger Institute, and he's here to share his big ideas.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm a social scientist at the University of Cambridge and the Wellcome Sanger Institute, and I'm interested in how evolutionary theory can help us understand ourselves better, and in doing so, help us to solve major problems like the erosion of trust in society today. My upcoming book is called Invisible Rivals: How We Evolved to Compete in a Cooperative World, and I'm excited to share what I think are the 5 key insights from it. Saying that humans evolved to cooperate or compete is wrong. A lot of writing about human nature defends one of two extremes. Basically, we are either a cooperative, altruistic species, or we are a competitive and selfish one. Both, however, are wrong. Humans have the capacity to help and hurt each other, and what matters is the context in which these features manifest themselves. We're the most dynamic species in the world, and it's our dynamism that makes us capable of both great and terrible things. Yet if we accept the view that humans are fundamentally cooperative, we risk trusting blindly. If we believe everyone is selfish, we won't trust anyone. We need to be realistic about human nature. We're a bit of both, so we need to learn how to place our trust discerningly. Our evolutionary story tells us a lot about who we are today. Some academics argue that ancient humans used language to work together to overthrow and eject brutish dominance, alphas that ruled our social groups with violence and aggression. The opposing view claims that this never happened, and that humans are inherently selfish and tribal. Again, this is a false dichotomy. What happened instead is that we selected, evolutionarily speaking, for the people who navigate social groups effectively. For example, it's likely to be true that throughout human history, we've tried to rid our social groups of free riders, people who take from others without giving anything back. But instead of eliminating free riders, human evolution has just made them better at hiding their deceptions. Humans have evolved to use language to disguise selfish acts and exploit our cooperative systems. This is what I call our invisible rivals, people who hide their self-interest best, perhaps even from themselves. This leads me to a key message in my book. If a system can be exploited, it will be. And exploitation of our social and political systems is something we all need to learn to expect. We can learn a lot from our ancestors about how to promote the better parts of our natures. Humans evolved in small groups, meaning that over many generations, we managed to design social norms to govern the distribution of food, water, and other vital resources. People vied for power, but these social norms helped to maintain a trend towards equality, balancing out our more selfish dispositions. Nevertheless, the free rider problem persisted, and using language, we got better at hiding our cheating. Our distant ancestors benefited from risk-pooling systems, whereby all group members contributed labor and shared resources. But this only worked because it is difficult to hide tangible assets, such as tools and food. While some hunter-gatherer societies continue to rely on these systems, they are ineffective in most modern societies in our globalized economy. Today, Most of us rely on intangible assets for monetary exchange, so people can easily hide resources, misrepresent their means, and invalidate the effectiveness of social norms around this pooling. To save democracy and solve the world's biggest challenges, we need to get better at spotting and exposing people who exploit human cooperation for personal gain. We see this subversion of our norms across the world today, as evidenced by the rise of the Julius Caesar of our time, Donald Trump. But it is a situation that evolution has predicted since the origins of life and later language, and which will only change form again, even if the current crises are overcome. As much as we evolved to use language effectively to work together, to overthrow those brutish and nasty dominants that pervaded ancient society, the most dangerous people among us today use language to create opportunities that benefit them. They use language to keep their plans invisible. Humans, more than any other organism, can cooperate until we imagine a way to compete, to exploit, to coerce, and almost always rely on language to do so. Think, for example, about how politicians in the Republican Party today claim not to know anything about their policies, whether it's about deportation of immigrants or the functioning of the Department of Health and Human Services. This tracks, as the Atlantic journalist David A. Graham writes, with a know-nothing party in the mid-19th century. When asked about their extreme anti-immigrant views, all members were compelled to say, "I know nothing." This is how language can be used to mislead. Just as disinformation from state actors like Russia today misleads us about news across the world. We can't prevent people from trying to mislead us, to exploit language for their own benefit, just as we can't prevent free-riding behavior in everything from benefits cheating and tax evasion to countries dodging action on climate change and the actions of business leaders and politicians. It's part of our nature, the incurable syndrome. Free riders are among us at every level of society, and pretending otherwise can make our own goals unrealistic, or worse, appear hopeless. But if we accept that we all have this ancient flaw, this ability to deceive ourselves and others, we can design policies around that and change our societies for the better. We can take action through self-knowledge, education, and policy. Contrary to some popular belief, we do reward liars from a young age, and this reinforces bad behavior into adulthood. People tell children that cheaters don't prosper, but in fact, cheats who don't get caught can do very well for themselves. Evolutionarily speaking, appearing trustworthy but being selfish can be more beneficial to the individual. We need to recognize that and make a moral choice about whether we try to use people or to work with them. Understanding this and our evolutionary past, we need to arm ourselves intellectually with the power to tell who is credible and who is not. Our most important tool for doing this is education. We must teach people to think ethically for themselves and to give them the tools to do so. Yet even the tools we use to expose exploiters are themselves open to exploitation. Think about how people across the political sphere accuse others of virtue signaling or abusing a well-intentioned political movement for their own gain. Still, exposing free riders is more beneficial than punishment. Loss of social capital through reputation is an important motivator for anyone, and journalistic work exposing exploitation can be as effective at driving behavior change at the individual, group, and political levels as criminal punishment. The dilemma each of us faces now is whether to confront invisible rivalry or to let exploiters undermine society until democracy in the free world unravels and the freedom of dissent is gone.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, everyone, pick up a copy of Invisible Rivals using the link in the episode notes. That's our show for the day. If you got something out of it, please leave us a rating or review in your podcast player so others can find it too. And go to nextbigideaclub.com to find out about our hardback subscription club. That's where we send you the best new nonfiction books as selected by our curators, Malcolm Gladwell, Adam Grant, Susan Cain, and Daniel Pink. Check it out at nextbigideaclub.com.